What's going on, guys? It's your boy Thrifty back with Thrifty PS Gamer Reviews. I am here to give you my initial thoughts on my first of three full price $70 video games of the year. And it has to be just a kind of first impressions and thoughts video because I have 30 hours in the game, and so I'm not done with it yet. Also, when I play RPGs, I end up kind of going full tilt on them, and so I am about 40%, 30% done with the Corel region, and I can't quite go to the next area until I get all the world events. But anyways, let's get into the game, because I wanted to do this video and I wanted to get it out pretty quickly because Final Fantasy VII Remake was not a lot of people's cup of tea. Yes, the game sold well. Yes, it did well. That's not in dispute. Yes, it's an awesome game. But there were things in it that people didn't like. So much so that a buddy of mine said the thing that might be hurting Final Fantasy VII Rebirth sales is actually Final Fantasy VII Remake's gameplay. So, and that was Will 777JP that said that. He's the co-host on our weekly podcast. And so, like, when he said that, I just kind of chuckled because it was funny. But in a way, he could be right. I absolutely loved Remake. But I'm also a Final Fantasy nut job who started on Final Fantasy VII. So there's a little bit of that nostalgia thing. So what I wanted to talk about today was, does the game improve on stuff from Remake? Does it get rid of a lot of the things and complaints that people talked about in Remake? Maybe you've heard that Remake is this or that, and you're like, man, I don't really want to play Rebirth. Let's talk about some of the changes. So, first I want to talk about the change from a linear focus to a more open world focus. So that was something that people did not like from Remake. Remake was super linear, and it just was. By nature of design, by nature of you being in Midgard, it's just super linear. Also, to hide loading screens, they made you walk through millions and millions of corridors, and it absolutely was frustrating and annoying. And that's coming from somebody who absolutely loves the game. So did they change that? Did they fix it? Well, I can very assuredly say they have absolutely fixed it. This game is way, way more open. Even the cities that you go to that are more closed off, they're kind of sectioned out in a way that makes them, one, feel huge, but two, most of them have like a level of verticality to them. And I really like that. It's not just, it breaks up some of the monotony of just constant basic travel over a flat surface, go save these cats and bring, it just made it more fun. And honestly, it made everything feel a bit more populated than it did in Remake. So that's the first thing. So I think they did fix it by, one, making the cities you go to very massive. And then also, though, they made the open world sections absolutely huge. So even where the first one, Remake, didn't really have open world sections, this one has so many, and they're so big. I've already ran into 3, and I'm in Mount Corel right now. Or not Mount Corel, I'm in the Corel region right now. And, oh my gosh, it's huge. It feels like it goes and goes and goes and goes. It's a massive, massive area in the game. I would honestly equate it with areas the same size, if not a little bigger, than Ghost of Tsushima. So that big first area that you're at in Ghost of Tsushima, that's kind of what Corel feels like right now. The grasslands feel very, very much like the second section in terms of size. And then you even had a smaller open world section in Junon that, even though it was smaller, there was still a lot of stuff to do. And that was one of the other knocks in Final Fantasy VII Remake. The side quests, to me and to a lot of others, were very, very fetchy. And you're just doing this thing to get a little bit of money or to get a little bit of an item upgrade or whatever. They were so fetchy. And so, did Rebirth fix the fetch quest problem from Final Fantasy VII Remake? Yes, they did. There is a huge and massive quest system, compiling of story quest, side quest, and then world events. World events are reported back to Chadley, and it kind of helps build your encyclopedia of the region. Also, doing these world events unlocks special summons that you can go fight at the virtual arena, and if you beat them, you can have the summons. Also, the more of these things you find, the lower the power of the summon is to fight. So, one, it feeds in to a gameplay mechanic, and then two, it gives you a reason to actually want to do them. And it's not just those few world events in each section that do that. There's a massive crafting system in this. Not massive, but there's a really good crafting system in this. And you can find these locations that not only do they give you like world lore, or like region lore, they also give you the ability to grab a ton of items. Like, whenever you go to one of these, littered out in front is just tons of crafting materials. And there's even some where you can use your chocobo and dig in little, like, dig sites, and you find major pieces that you learn the recipes for on how to craft. And so all of those are world events, and they tie in directly. And then you have some of the world events that are tied to specific character relationships. And building up your character relationships in this can actually change your dialogue options. Like, it actually can have an impact on at least the characters' relationships. I don't think it has a huge impact on story, but I do think it has an impact on character relationships. And so, every single side event feeds into the larger narrative. And that's the best way I can say that. Everything feels purposeful. Now, is everything deep and super meaningful like it was in The Witcher 3? No, it's not. Some of them are still very fetch quest-like, but the rewards you get from them and the things you get actually progress your gameplay way more than they ever did in Remake. So it makes the reward, the payoff, feel better. And so, one of the other things that was hit on was combat. Combat in Remake was a little stiff, unless you were Tifa. And Tifa was awesome. But combat was a little stiff. And so, what did they do with this one? Well, with this one, they added quick buttons. With this one, they added what seems to be the Flash's lightning speed into Cloud. And they made every character actually pretty dang good. Like, my worst thing about Final Fantasy VII Remake was playing as Aerith, because she's awful in that game. This one, they gave her some pretty freaking sick abilities. And so I really, really enjoy what they've done with the characters and the combat. The synergy attacks, the hot buttons, the quick change that you can do now, where you can have materia attached to a character, and that character will like auto do things, almost like a simplified version of the Gambit system from Final Fantasy XII. Like, all of it feeds into the game. And the combat is so well done in this. It's so fast and fluid, and like, honestly, some of the characters actually follow a little bit of reality that they didn't have in the first one. Or, not that they didn't have, but maybe that I didn't notice. But, like, the Tifa not being able to actually get up in the air, you have to use a partner ability, not a partner ability, you have to use a synergy ability, and that actually, like, catapults her up in the air, and then as long as you're actively doing moves in the air, like attacking or dodging, you will stay up in the air with her. But you have to have help getting up there. I thought that was really cool. Red 13, his combat is absolutely stellar. Yuffie, we all have played as her in Intermission, and once again, she is back with fast and fluid combat. And Cloud actually feels like he knows how to wield a sword. So, overall, everything that I heard negative about Remake has been fixed in Rebirth. If you have been thinking about or on the fence about getting getting Rebirth because you didn't really like Remake, let me tell you, you will be fully satisfied with Rebirth. And if you're like, well, man, if even a fan of it is saying that these things were wrong with Remake, I don't want to play it. But Rebirth sounds really cool. There is a recap at the beginning of Rebirth that will explain to you everything that happened in Remake. Anyways, guys, thank y'all for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed the video. Love to see you at the live streams. They are every Wednesday night at 8:45 p.m. Central Standard Time. Come on over and join us. Hit that like button, subscribe if you have not already, and as always, stay thrifty.